Youngpreneurs Podcast, episode number 172 with your host, Victor Ahipeni. What's up, world? Another day, another podcast. And today I've got Elaine Lou Cartas, who's a global career and assertiveness coach. And if you don't know what that means, do not worry, because it's probably going to have a huge impact in your life, your career, and how assertive you are with making those tough decisions. We dive into how she gets clients into her business, what she does with her clients, and of course everything in between. And she announces some pretty cool things, and she's had some life changes that many of you may be in at the moment. You may have a bit of a side hustle, you might not, you might be scared and worried about leaving that job, and this is all relatively new to Elaine. And so I think there's a ton of value no matter where you are on your journey, and it just shows you can't plan for everything all the time. So if you enjoy this episode, make sure you share it. Jump over to your favorite podcast player and please leave a rating, review, and subscribe so you don't miss any episodes. If you want to get all the show notes and everything we talk about, plus a ton of resources on how you can start your first online business for $0, jump over to passiveincomeyoung.com, where we've got all the past episodes plus those awesome resources. All right, team, in the meantime, as always, keep living life on your own terms. You're listening to the Youngpreneurs Podcast, the number one resource online for under 35-year-olds, where we chat twice a week to the most inspiring entrepreneurs in the world. We have it all. If you're looking for inspiration, guidance, or actionable tips to help you transition from that job into a business, or if you're ready to take that business to a whole new level, then this is the place to be. Get ready to live life on your own terms. Youngpreneurs, welcome to another episode of the Youngpreneurs Podcast. I'm your host, Victor Ahipeni, and as always, thank you for choosing to spend some time with us. As they say, you're the sum of the five people that you spend your time around the most, and today you're spending it with myself and Elaine Lou Cartas, who is a global career and assertiveness coach and author, speaker, and she empowers first-generation millennials just like you on how you can take accountability of your dreams, your career, and the salary that you deserve. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
It's my absolute pleasure. Now, I love to get a bit of a background of life and what it was like with people growing up, and my guests and things know that, but I learned just before the show that instead of going all the way back to where it all began, I want to take it back to like 2.5 weeks ago and kind of go from there and give our listeners a bit of an idea about what brought you to be doing what you're doing and the big life changes that have recently happened with that.
Yeah, so I've been in my business for 7 months now, but I just left my full-time 9-to-5 job. But different, like you hear a lot of entrepreneurs, I actually loved my job. It was my dream job. I had my dream boss, my dream salary, but it wasn't my dream mission. And so that just happened a couple of weeks ago, and it's been really exciting.
Nice. And so what was that job, and how did you transition over those 7 months? Like, was there a point over those last 7 months that you're like, I'm setting a date in stone, or a lot of things kind of built up to it and it gave you the confidence? Or did you say, look, I'm just not making the traction I need to jump out and find a parachute on the way down?
It's interesting. I know it sounds really woo-woo, but the universe really unfolded itself. I've been, just a little background, I've had 25 different jobs in my life. I'm 30, by the way. Prior to this job that I had for 3 years, I was in politics here in the States for 10 years, and I did a career change and doing something I love. 7 months ago, about July 2017, I started my business, and while I was working on my job, just because I felt like there was something more and bigger than for me. And then I really got into it. I was balancing both my dream job and my dream business, and I fell more in love with my business, and it felt like cheating. Even though my boss, who's an amazing mentor for me, was very well aware of that I started my business, but she didn't know how much I was fully involved. And I remember in September, I was like, I'm not being honest with her. And I had a conversation. Hey, thank you so much. I know you've invested so much time and your money. While at the same time, I don't see a future here. And I didn't know what that meant for me. Like, I didn't have any savings. There was no plan B. I just needed to be honest with her and the organization. And she just told me, well, wait until you see what unfolds. So I work for a government institution here in the States, and I had to apply for my own job. And this was the last day of my 20s. So I turned 30 the next day, and I gave it my all. But if I have to be completely honest, I didn't really want it. I wanted my business. 2 weeks later, found out I didn't get the job. I was really upset and devastated. Like any person, I was crying like a starfish on my floor because I didn't have a job. And I woke up the next day and I was like, you know what? I think that was just a way for the universe, God, Beyonce, whatever higher being you believe in, telling me that I need to go fully into my mission. So I just decided I had to accept it myself. It's time for me to go full time into my business. And when I decided that and changed my perspective in December, I hit my first 5-digit month in my business, nice. Which was amazing. And I officially left my job a couple of weeks ago, and I still have a great relationship with my boss and my old team. It was a great breakup. And I just knew this was the path for me.
Yeah. And so how did your side hustle, which has now turned into a business, how did that come about?
How did that come about? How did that get started? It's interesting. It goes back to what happened to me, or just really being self-aware and reflective. But I grew up in an Asian culture where growing up, I had to respect the man of the household, right? When that transferred over to the workforce, it was like, I'll do whatever my boss says, male or female. But I was never providing value. And I remember working at a job 24-hour days, 7 days a week. And I asked myself, wait, I'm not getting paid what I'm worth. So I went to my parents who are immigrants. I'm like, how do I ask for a raise? Why are you going to ask for more, Elaine? You get paid more than us. And other people would be like, don't be so greedy. And it had nothing to do with me being greedy. I just felt like I wasn't getting paid what I deserved. And I hired my own coach 3 years ago, and I asked for a $12,000 raise, and I got it. And then when you start fixing things in your life, you realize other things you need to work on. So I realized I wasn't assertive. I didn't create boundaries. And more importantly, I wasn't happy in the career I was in, which was really hard for me to admit. And I was in my mid-20s, living at an apartment in Hollywood on my own. And I moved out. I was not happy. I moved out, moved back to my parents, shared a room with my cousin. And I just started connecting with people, doing informational interviews. And that's how I changed my own career into politics, into doing something that I did love, fundraising. And I did everything what everyone told me, like, oh, Elaine, you'd be good at this. So I did it. And then I went to get my master's. And because everyone told me you need to move up, but then it was a month before, and this is my story, it was a month before I was graduating from my master's, and it was a plane ride. And I was flying from San Francisco to LA, and I started thinking about my great grandfather. And his story was that he left my grandma when she was 2 and his wife to move to the States to work in the grapevines, never saw his family again. And my grandma and my dad also moved to the States to work in the grapevine. And I'm in the level of self-awareness where I'm crying because it took 3 generations for my great grandfather's dream to come true, so I could live a life of choice, so I could have this conversation with you. And I land in LA, I called my dad and I asked him, hey, where did your grandpa land when he came to America? And he responded, well, Elaine, there were no planes back then, there were boats, and he came to San Francisco. And I was like, okay, I just had some spiritual connection with him. And after that, I realized I need to do what I love, and I need to help other people like me. And that's how my idea of my global career and assertiveness coaching just started from that plane ride. It was literally the feeling like as if I had a conversation with my great grandfather that I can't just do what everyone tells me, which is what a lot of people do. I took the risk and plunge, and I just did it.
Yeah, well, I remember there's something that Tim Ferriss says. He quotes somebody else, and it's like, if you're following the majority, you're heading in the wrong direction. Like if you're doing what the majority of people are doing, and in your space, like people are afraid to ask the hard questions, to have the tougher conversations, to ask for the raise, to ask for the not to get a raise. Sometimes to not change their role, or to stay doing what they love. But the majority of people will just say, oh, I'm going to wait for my pay review every year, and we'll, if their company does it, and we'll do that. Whereas you get some other people, and every 3 months when they've knocked something out of the park, okay, you should give me a pay review. Or, but for the most of us, we're all sitting there going, I don't want to rock the boat. I don't want to have a difficult conversation because it'll put me outside of my comfort zone. And unfortunately, that's where all the awesomeness happens, and that's where all the things that you've worked hard for, come to fruition. So it's a pretty cool roundabout story. Oh, as in when I say roundabout, like full circle from your great granddad really trying to, that's like the ultimate sacrifice. Hey, family, I'm off. Not going to see you guys again. But for the future generations that I won't see, I'm trying to provide them a better life, which is absolutely huge. And obviously, kudos to him, but kudos to you as well for living that dream. And now on your own journey for the future generations as well, which is cool. So talk us through what exactly it is that what's your value that you bring to a client. If I was to come to you, if I was in a job or in some sort of career, why would I come to you? Where am I in the world, and what headspace am I in?
What makes it so unique for me is that I've gone through the pain points of my client. I forgot to mention this, but I talked about my successes, but I've also been fired 3 times. I've quit and walked out twice. I've asked for a salary raise and I've been said no. I've changed careers. So the clients that come to me, they're at a level of self-awareness where I'm not happy with where I'm at right now. That doesn't mean that they're not grateful, but they're just like, there needs to be something that changes. I see my career path. I'm this mid-level manager. I see where I could go next, but I don't think that's going to make me happy. So they come to me working in, I want to switch my career, or I want to ask for that salary raise, or be more assertive. They find themselves, it's very difficult for them to have a very difficult conversation with their bosses about the future in their organization. And also I have clients that come to me, you know what, I really like my job, but I want to start that business I've always wanted to do. How do I do that? And I let everybody know, all my clients and people I talk to, that, we think there's this misconception of you have to leave your 9 to 5 and just go straight in. Like, try to stay in your 9 to 5 as long as you can until you have a situation with me where you are pulled to go full time into your mission, because then you have a scarcity mindset.
And I think a lot of people think that there's a perfect time to do it.
Nope.
Which is the hard thing. It's like, I'll wait till I've got X amount of dollars, and then something comes up, or I'll wait until I've finished this email campaign. And I think a lot of us are guilty of waiting till things are too perfect in different aspects of our business. But at different times, I remember when I started some online training stuff, and I just put a post out on Facebook. I think I just did a video or a post. I can't even remember what it was, but someone said to me, just put it out, see what you get back. I'd already run some people through it and jumped on a few calls, and not only made a few $1,000s, but that wasn't so much the point. It was the validation that these were people that I didn't know, that people had tagged in a post, and these were people that said, hey, I'm willing to put my trust in you, and it gave me the validation and things like that, and go, oh, okay, cool, I've only developed 3/4 of the course, but I should probably now I know that it's actually going to be out there for people, and that I can add value in that aspect. So there's not a perfect time, but you've also got a lot of time if you're only working 40 hours a week, I think, which if you're looking for the side hustle, because a lot, like 40 hours a week, there's a ton of time in the morning and afternoon, and obviously different circumstances if you've got kids and different things. But if you've got the desire to have that side hustle to follow your passion, then you'll find those hours in the day. So let me run us through kind of an example of, say, one of your clients you've had over the last 7 months, and I guess they've come to you, and I guess what's kind of been the outcome that they've wanted, and how did they maybe go about it, or what the result was at the end?
Yeah, I mean, I had several. One of them recently I just spoke to. So I offer, by the way, a 90-day or 3-month coaching program. So I talk to my clients one-on-one. I'm also launching a group program starting in March. And recently, my client, after just 3 sessions, she's been in this specific career field that she wasn't happy with. She felt like she wasn't using the degree she got, and she just switched careers. I mean, we went through the conversation of how she was going to have with that interview, and she was like, I don't know, I just never had experience in this new career. I'm like, well, you could, it's your wording, it's what you say during the interview, and letting them know, because I had this experience doing it here, it's going to be more impactful and meaningful when I do it here. And she just got her dream job. What's really exciting too is because now that she has a dream job and is making more money, she's also working on her dream business right now. So she has 10 possible clients she's working with as well. So you could have it all like in different steps, and asking for that raise or changing a job, you get more money so that you could work on other things that are more important to you. So that was something great that she's been able to accomplish. Similarly, I have another client, after a couple of sessions working with her, she actually started running her own organization, and on the side is now building up. She currently has 2 clients she's working with on her business and is talking to more people. So that's exciting as well. So I've just been helping others change careers, get the salary raises, and start a business.
Nice. A lot of that comes with it is the breaking out of your comfort zone and feeling that those limits have been raised, like that ceiling that you've put on yourself. So that people are. They've had these. Sorry, everyone. I was just watching a little sneezing fit on the other on the other end of it. But you can.
I know. I'm putting it on mute. Don't worry.
But yeah, what I'm saying is, people are getting these, say, a new job or a new career, and then they see the kind of the possibilities of when they open up their mindset of what is possible, and it's like, oh well, I can, if I can get a new career, why can't I get a new business? Or if I can get a raise, why can't I take on a different role within the business, or go to a different company, or take more of a leadership role? And a lot of the times, we think we just have to follow the majority again, and once you break those shackles, it's amazing what the so-called average Joe or can really do, because we are all I've interviewed hundreds of people now, and every one of them is pretty much just an average Joe who does extraordinary things by taking massive action, which is really cool. I wanted to ask you about more of the kind of the business side, the behind the scenes side for the entrepreneurial people out there. How have you gone about getting your clients in? Like, what is the acquisition of clients? Is it a word of mouth side of things? Have you got digital marketing? Are you speaking at groups? So what have you found to be successful for you so far?
Well, when I first started off, I did old school, where I was on the phone doing target market research. I talked to 73 people in my niche just so I know the language that they were using and I could build my business. And by the way, throughout this whole process, I've been working with a coach, and that has been very helpful for me. I've been working with different coaches, and then from that, I just used the internet. I've actually have paid $0 on Facebook and Instagram ads, but that's where I use it. I provide so much value by having freebies and doing Facebook challenges, and I'm very vulnerable with my story as well. sharing just all of the hiccups that I went through and the process that I've gone through. And really, it's been my relationship direct messaging with people. For example, yesterday, I had a lot of people opt in for a freebie on how to have difficult conversations with their bosses. 43 people opted in, and I scheduled 10 phone calls, and I'm talking to them all day tomorrow. It's just the personal relationships that I've been able to share, providing so much massive value, being visible and being vulnerable.
Nice. And that's a huge lesson for everybody out there. Like I said earlier, I just put out a Facebook post when I was first getting started. You're at a point that even though you're further down the track in your journey, getting on the phone, and when you're saying old school works, like you've got to know.
Yes.
I've made this mistake, and I know a lot of people that I've spoken to have made this mistake of thinking they understand their target avatar or their target client out there, and then you get these massive brain explosions of people saying completely polar opposite things of what you've been expecting, and it changes the whole copy that you use, the communication, the people that you attract, and things become a lot easier, because although you may do what your target audience do, it doesn't mean that you were particularly the target audience just because you've gone down that gibberish.
Exactly. And it helps, when I get no's on the phone, it helps me because you're learning the language of your target audience, what words to say, what things they're looking for, what they want. So it's just practice. And at the end of the day, it's not a business. It's not just money. I'm in service, and money is a side effect of it.
Exactly. Yeah,
it's a great side effect.
Yeah, it's a great side effect, and you've said it a few times and touched on it. It's value. Like a business is not going to give you a raise just because you come in with the best tactics to go there. They're still going to look back and go, do you rate this value? Like I know I've done interviews in the past where they said, what are you willing to come to us for? I've given them a figure, and then you find out that someone else who starts at the same time, that they are doing the same job and they're on $10,000-$15,000 a year more than you, and you're like, I should have probably been better at understanding the value that I was going to bring to this organization and paid for it. But at the same time, I was happy with what I put forward, but I could have been happier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So last few questions to wind up. We got in a DeLorean and traveled into a couple of years into the future. What would your business and we're 2 weeks into it now. What does it look like in 2 years? In
2 years. So by 2020, I want to help 1 million first generation millennials, live their dream life and their dream career and business. That's my dream. That's my vision.
And so kind of, I love to work back with this and let people kind of see. And I don't expect that every detail or nut is put out, but you can only leverage yourself so much and only have so much time.
Yep.
So how are you going to make that dream a reality?
Continue doing my coaching. So expanding it, providing group coaching, as well as membership coaching, and just the power of the book. I want to publish my own book by that time as well, making sure that's the #1 international seller. I have a very unique niche. I focus on first generation millennials, and I've just gone through the pain points that they've gone through. And you talked about this, and this is for everyone who wants to start a business and want to share their story. You have to remind your audience, regardless of what niche they are, that you're just like them. You're ordinary, but teach others how you became extraordinary. Like, what were the steps and strategies for you to become extraordinary? And so I share very vulnerable posts on social media, and that's what's garnered me to get my clients. And also another thing, which I'm sure you know as well, Victor, is like a lot of my clients have never liked or commented any of my posts. So when I direct message them and I schedule a call, or they come to me, I'm like, where did they come from? They've never messaged anything. So you never know who is watching. So even though you see your followers go down, there's an audience that's following you. They just may not be as visible as you would know.
Yeah, and that's one of the things, particularly if you're talking about, career changes and things like that. It's I wouldn't say a dodgy niche to be liking a post, but you're not exactly going to be jumping in and saying, "Oh, I could relate to that so much. I want to be jumping out," because people are going, "Oh, my boss saw that," and then there's all. It'd probably be the best possible thing if the person's thinking about jumping ship. But, when you've got these self-limiting beliefs and things like that, you're not going to jump on and comment. But, private message is private message. So it's a really comfortable place for people to unwind. Last question. A book that's had the biggest influence, say, in the last year on you that you've read. It can be about anything.
This last year... You know what, The Alchemist? It's not even this last year. The Alchemist is my book.
Yeah, I haven't read it yet. And it's probably just hitting the book that enough people have talked about that I need to get a hold of it. And it was just at the wedding.
It was life changing. Like I reread it and I catch new things because we're always in different stages in our life and we're going through different things. But that was just life changing for me and changing my perspective. But I am constantly working on my personal growth. You have to, especially not just as an entrepreneur, but when you're fully into your mission and you know who you are, it's a muscle. It's like a muscle that you need to continuously work at. It's like working out at a gym.
And I mean, no doubt, if you're looking to impact 1 million people, you have to develop yourself because there's going to be team members who probably come on board as you scale up, and there's going to be people who are nearly CEOs who want to work with you, and they're already at a next level, and there's going to be people who you're going to attract as you develop up, but there's still going to be obviously your core demographic and market and different challenges and things like that, which is the beauty of life. But also in the entrepreneurial bubble, it's very much like that as well. So with all of that being said and done, I'd just love to welcome you to the Youngpreneurs podcast. And I'd just love to, for everyone out there who's that frustrated millennial or would just like to get in touch with you or follow your raw and honest posts, where can they go and what can they do?
Yeah, so you could go to my website, which is elainelou.com. So that's ELAINELOU.com. And in there, you'll see a pop-up where I have the free 5 word-to-word scripts that have difficult conversations with your boss. It also shows how the exact script I used to get a $12,000 raise in 20 minutes. So people can find me online. I'm also on Facebook, which is Elaine Lou Cartas, CARTAS, and I'm also on Instagram. It's Elaine Lou _
Cool. Well,
and that's where people could find me.
We will link all of that in the show notes at passiveincomeyoung.com as always. And thank you so much for your time. I look forward to catching up in a couple of years and hearing the bigger impacts and the exciting journey and ups and downs that you'll no doubt have along the way.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And thank you to all your listeners as well.
Thanks for listening to the Youngpreneurs podcast. This was proudly brought to you by the Podcast Institute, the #1 training resource to take your business from chasing leads to leads chasing you, and from an absolute amateur to a full-blown authority. If you're looking to take your business to the next level, then a podcast is the obvious answer. You can get national and global exposure in a very fast time, and it's just exactly what I've done with this podcast. So if you want to find out more, get a checklist on how you can get started for under $60, and to find out more through a small training video that I've prepared for you all, then please check out passiveincomeyoung.com /podcast training.